The Los Angeles Times published this article that many in the business of education called shocking. And the reason why they said that is because the Los Angeles Times specifically named several teachers that have been accused of being ineffective in the classroom. So what the Los Angeles Times is now doing is they're using standardized tests, and they're doing something known as value-added analysis. They're looking at these standardized tests and they're evaluating teachers, and they're holding them accountable if they are deemed ineffective in the classroom. And they're literally publishing these individuals' names in their articles. So people in the LAUSD, this only has to do with the LAUSD, I should specify. People in the LAUSD are upset about this. They think it's unfair for the LA Times to specifically name teachers that aren't doing a great job. I think that this is awesome. I think this is great, and I think anybody who disagrees with what the Los Angeles Times is doing should really take a step back and look at their own jobs and look at the fact that they're evaluated on a daily basis, and teachers, the people who are supposed to be educating our youth, should also be evaluated. And I don't think, I want to clarify this as well, I don't think that looking at standardized testing is the only way to evaluate teachers. I think that maybe it's one red flag that should get administrators in a specific school to become more involved. For instance, if a teacher is deemed ineffective based on these standardized test results, then maybe the principal at the school or other administrators at the school should keep a closer eye on that teacher to see how he or she is performing in the classroom, how he or she is engaging the students in whatever the curriculum is. So, Cenk, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think the LA Times did a bad job in holding these teachers accountable?
Look, I know what the so-called liberal position on this is that if you water down the public schools, it's bad for everybody, and that part of watering down the public schools is going after the teachers' unions and saying, oh, no, maybe we should do charter schools instead to introduce competition, and that we overemphasize the bad teachers in the schools, et cetera. Overall, I'm not buying it. I'm with you. Mm-hmm. You know, is there some truth in that? Of course there is, right? And we're not conservatives. Nothing's black and white, okay? But overall, when you look at the balancing of this thing, I think that there are some teachers that are clearly phoning it in, right? And is that a majority of teachers? Of course not. But that's not what the LA Times is saying. They're saying we've got these teachers that apparently are not getting the job done. And like anybody, they've got to have some degree of accountability on their job.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
And this isn't like college where you need tenure to have academic freedom so you can write controversial pieces, et cetera, as long as you're trying, you know, you've got evidence and you're trying to arrive at the truth, et cetera. This is just, you know, this is teaching high school students, and I'm not trying to minimize that, but you don't need academic freedom for it. It's just the same logic doesn't apply for tenure. Mm-hmm. And of course, everybody knows what the downside of tenure is. You know, if you remove the incentive to work hard, not everybody, but some percentage of people won't.
Right.
And that's a problem.
No, I agree with you. And, you know, this LA Times piece is specifically focusing on elementary school teachers, so teachers between 3rd grade and 5th grade. And what I found the most interesting about this article is it began with a story of 2 teachers in the same school in Pacoima, California. So Pacoima is a very, it's the poor area of the valley, okay? So there's a lot of gang violence there, and it's a troubled area. So they focused on that school, and they focused on 2 teachers in that school, and they were literally across the hall from one another. One teacher had students who had standardized test results that were remarkable. The other teacher had test results that were terrible, okay? Same school, right across the hall from one another. And it's not like they're comparing, you know, rich schools to poor schools. They're comparing teachers in the exact same schools to prove that it is fact that there are ineffective teachers in our public school system, and not enough is being done to evaluate them and hold them accountable. And you know, what I also liked about this article is the teachers that were named specifically for being ineffective, they were surprised at their own test results. They were like, what? my teaching is ineffective? I didn't know that. How come I don't have administrators working with me and telling me that I need to improve the way I teach the curriculum? They have no idea because they're not used to being evaluated. You know, sometimes teachers, and I know several people who work in administration in the public school system in the LAUSD. That's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about this, because I know from firsthand sources what's really going on. And in a lot of schools, what happens is a principal for evaluation will go into a classroom and will sit in on a teacher's class 1 or 2 times to make sure everything's going good. If everything seems to be fine, that's it. That's the extent of the evaluation. I think that that's the most unreasonable thing in the world. I think that we have to be evaluated as workers on a daily basis. I'm evaluated on a daily basis, not just by you, but by the audience. Teachers are educating our youth, so they should be evaluated as much as possible.
All right, here's my last thought on this. Think about if it's your kid, how much do you want him to be in the room with a teacher that's super effective? And how much do you not want him to be in the room with a teacher that's completely ineffective? And when you think about it that way, should there be accountability for these teachers? Of course there should. Otherwise, you know, we're all playing lottery with our kids, to be honest.
Right. Agreed. All right.
Okay.
I got that off my chest. I feel good.
All right, good. That was your daily rant. I feel like I'm Dylan Radigan and you're Cenk Uygur.
It was my daily rant, yes.